Our main character has been married for 3 years, making him the most envied guy in the neighborhood. His wife, Liu Ruyan, acts cold enough to freeze water, while other wives in the neighborhood group chat do nothing but complain. They are either complaining about their husbands coming home late or not making enough money. But when our guy gets home at 2 a.m., his entryway light is always left on. There is always a bowl of hangover soup waiting on the table, kept at the perfect temperature. It is never too hot, just soothing for his chronic stomach issues of over 10 years. Her constant, gentle care for 3 years straight actually completely cured his stomach problems. His neighbor, Old Lee, even joked that he must have saved the galaxy in his past life. But on their 3rd anniversary, he realized he might not have saved the galaxy after all. It was actually the legend of the white snake, and that night he'd prepared a ring. He wanted to surprise her, but his hand slipped. The ring box rolled right under the bed, so he crawled down to reach for it. His fingers brushed against something incredibly cold, and it definitely was not the box. It was a crimson scale the size of a fingernail, carrying a strange, faint warmth. The temperature felt exactly like his wife's skin, and he completely froze on the floor. His mind went completely blank as all her little quirks suddenly started making sense. Everything collapsed like falling dominoes, starting with the fact that she never eats anything hot. She never turned on the heater in winter, claiming her body naturally ran warm. And every month, she would lock herself in the bedroom for 2 or 3 days. Her skin was always cold and flawlessly smooth, without a single mole. And not a single hair. This beautiful wife he cherished for 3 years was not even human. Talk about a crazy plot twist. But now the real question is, what exactly is she? Why on earth would a literal snake demon want to marry an ordinary guy? Holding that scale felt way too real. It was incredibly smooth and icy cold. The edges were slightly curved, looking almost like a fingernail, but much harder. He slowly crawled out from under the bed, his heart hammering against his ribs. His palms were drenched in sweat, and the hair on his neck stood on end. Just then, he heard water running as Liu Ruyan called out from the kitchen. She asked him to come over and eat some freshly washed strawberries. Her voice was just as soft and sweet as always, completely normal. But he was gripping that scale so hard his knuckles turned white. 2 voices were screaming in his head. The first was telling him to run. Just run away right now. But the second voice asked, run from what? If she wanted to hurt him, she had 10,000 opportunities over the years. Taking a deep breath, he shoved the scale into his pocket and walked out. Liu Ruyan walked over with a plate, asking why he looked so pale. The strawberries were neatly sliced and drizzled with sweet condensed milk. She looked up at him, her eyes bright and round like a child's. Her skin looked incredibly fair, making his heart beat even wilder in his chest. He lied and said he just choked on some dust under the bed.
She smiled gently and pulled him down to sit beside her. Pushing the plate over, she admitted she wanted to bake him an anniversary cake. But the whipped cream ruined it, so she had to settle for this instead. As she spoke, the tips of her ears flushed a soft red. Seeing her blush like that, he had to wonder, do snakes actually blush? Our main character is so shocked, he just mindlessly eats a whole plate of strawberries. He did not even taste them. That night, lying in bed, Liu Ruyan snuggles into his chest like always, resting her arm on his waist. She hugs his arm close, her body temperature running incredibly low. It was always like this, but he just assumed she had bad circulation. Now her freezing cold hand on his back keeps him wide awake all night. First thing the next morning, Liu Ruyan heads out to buy groceries. Our guy waits 10 minutes to make sure she will not turn back. Then he scrambles out of bed, drops down, and shines his phone flashlight underneath. He inspects the spot from yesterday, but it is completely clean. Not even a speck of dust remains. This is where it gets crazy. Did she find out? Maybe not. Maybe she just cleans under there regularly. He stands up and starts tearing through the bedroom closet and vanity. He checks every single item in the nightstand, but finds absolutely nothing. Everything is completely normal, just standard makeup and skincare products. A few novels and a stack of shopping receipts. Clean like a perfect specimen of a normal human woman. Way too clean. It feels totally fake. He stares at their wedding photo on the vanity.
She is leaning on his shoulder in the picture, smiling so happily.
Was that beautiful smile ever real? He thinks about this for hours.
He makes a wild decision. Do not ask, do not run, just observe. If she wanted him dead, she would have done it 3 years ago.
So why did she marry him? He needs to find that answer himself.
Over the next week, he starts watching her with a whole new lens. Honestly, this slow burn suspense is so peak. Before, she was just his wife. Gentle, caring, and beautiful. Now, he only sees a flawless, terrifying disguise. He notes every single detail. On day 1, she makes braised pork ribs. But her chopsticks only touch the green vegetables and tofu, never the meat. She does not eat a single rib. You do not eat meat? She claims her stomach has been upset, so she is eating light. She smiles and puts a piece on his plate, a classic excuse he always heard. Dieting, bad stomach, or going vegetarian lately.
The excuses are always perfect, but snakes are strictly carnivores.
He does some research online and learns snakes do not eat cooked food. They do not eat seasonings and definitely nothing processed.
How does she even get nutrients? On night 3, he pretends to toss and turn. His hand casually rests on her waist, fingertips slowly sliding down.
Sliding down to her lower back, her skin feels incredibly smooth and freezing cold. Moving down toward her tailbone, she suddenly rolls over. She brushes his hand away, acting completely natural.
It looks like she is just sleeping, but he noticed something wild.
The exact millisecond his fingers brushed her tailbone, her body stiffened up. On day 5, he comes home early from work without warning. As he slides the key into the lock, he hears a strange noise inside. It sounds like something sliding across the floor. Rustle, rustle. He slams the door open. Ruyan is standing right there by the bed, wearing her nightgown.
Her hair is a bit messy as she asks why on earth he's back so early.
He tells her the meeting got canceled while scanning the room, noticing all the windows are shut. The floor is spotless, with absolutely nothing out of place, but her expression looks pretty unnatural. Her lips are notably redder than usual, and there is a faint, warm flush around her eyes. It looks like she just cried, or had some intense physical reaction. She says she took a hot shower and got dizzy. She rubs her face, and our guy just nods without questioning. But he notices that her left fingernails are way longer than usual. They even have a faint reddish tint. This is day 7. While she's in the shower, she leaves her phone on the coffee table, and he spots a memo. He claims he didn't mean to snoop, but let's be real. He totally did it on purpose. The memo is incredibly short, noting day 1096, stable with absolutely no shedding. That's exactly 3 years. Honestly, what on earth doesn't shed? Then it hits him. Skin scales, like that crimson scale under the bed. That was her first slip-up. He carefully puts the phone back. His heart is racing like crazy, but it's not from fear. It is a deeply complicated feeling he can't explain. During these 7 days of quietly observing her, she still took care of him, never missing his daily honey water. He always had hot late-night snacks waiting after overtime, and they'd lounge on the couch during weekend soccer games. She'd pour his beer and peel his shrimp. Watching her quiet profile, peeling shrimp like that actually makes him panic. Is this fake or real? Why would a snake pretend for 3 years? And why him? So on day 8, he decides to do something instead of just sitting at home and observing. Because staying cooped up at home only lets him see what she wants him to see. He needs to investigate from the outside. So he reaches out to his mom's old colleague who introduced them. He invites Aunt Zhang out for tea, asking what she remembers. He asks how much she still remembers about Xiaoyan's background back then, as Aunt Zhang takes a sip of tea. She asks if they had a fight. He quickly says, no way. He's just suddenly curious because he realizes he's never met or even seen a single family member of hers. Aunt Zhang thinks back and reveals that his mom was the one who begged her to help. Since he completely refused to go on blind dates back then, his mom was getting super anxious. Xiaoyan was actually introduced by a friend of hers who said she was an out-of-town girl. Her parents had passed away early, leaving her to work in this city completely alone. Aunt Zhang met her once and thought she was gorgeous. She was extremely soft-spoken and always treated everyone with absolute kindness. She was a perfect match for him, but who exactly was that friend?
Aunt Zhang thinks it might be old Zhao, a guy who did folklore research before retiring.
But then she remembers he moved to the countryside last year after surgery, and he's completely off-grid. It's a dead end, but those words, folklore research, completely stick in his mind. He starts digging into Ruyan's registration documents again, from her ID card to her household register. He even verified all her graduation certificates when they got married, and they were completely real. But her hometown registry is listed as Qingcheng in Xuzhang, so he searches online. And get this, the Qingcheng mountain area is packed with terrifying local snake demon legends. We are not talking about the romantic Legend of Whitesnake version either, but dark, generational folklore. So basically, legends say giant snakes cultivating in the mountains can take human form after enough years. Once they transform, they have to live among humans to absorb their life energy. And the best way to stabilize their body is through marriage. Our boy is just staring at his phone, absolutely shocked. His hands go completely cold. This whole marriage was just a transaction. He did not marry him out of love. He was literally just a human battery. What is he even to him? A total tool. Just a host, a convenient tool. A literal human heater. That very night, things get tense. When Liu Ruyan brings him warm honey water, our main character refuses to take it, making him tilt his head. He just smiles, placing the cup down and telling him to drink it anyway. He warns him about his bad stomach, while our main character stares at the warm drink. Out of nowhere, our boy asks him why he even agreed to marry him in the first place. The snake husband pauses, thinks it over, and says it is because he has good facial features. Nice symmetry, a lucky forehead, a broad brow. Then says he is just kidding. Smiling with those curved eyes, he admits it goes back to their very first meeting. Our boy had wrapped his coat around a freezing stray cat in the dead of winter. He even brought the cat into his car to warm up, showing how kind-hearted he was. A keeper, basically. He says it so casually, like it is no big deal at all. Our boy lets it drop, and the tension in his chest loosens up a tiny bit. Just a bit, though. Who knows if this is sweet talk or just another layer of deception? Talk about a massive plot twist. The real turning point arrives on the 12th day. He goes down to the convenience store for some cigarettes and runs into a strange guy. A middle-aged man wearing a traditional gray suit. He is skinny as a bamboo pole with shady triangular eyes. His creepy eyes barely even move as he stands right by the store entrance. It looks like he is waiting for someone, and as our boy walks past him, the man suddenly mutters that his body is covered in dark yin energy, making our boy freeze. He sizes our boy up and hands over a business card. The 37th generation successor of the Mao Mountain Taoists, our main character looks at it. Honestly, his first instinct is that this random guy is just a total scammer. But then the guy drops a line that completely freezes him. Your spouse is not human. Our boy grips the card tight, asking how on earth he could know that. The man points to his neck, calling out a shadow mark on his left side. It is pale red, looking like something wrapped around it. Apparently, it is a snake spirit mark. Our boy instinctively reaches up to feel his neck. He feels absolutely nothing, but the man says you cannot feel it anyway. It is embedded under the skin. He warns him that he has been marked for at least 3 years. With his heart pounding, our boy asks what he wants, but the guy shrugs. Putting his hands behind his back, he says he's just passing through and his energy looks fine. There is no danger to his life right now, but things get bad over time. He pauses, explaining that these snake spirits need a host's life force to survive. 3 years is the cycle. Once it ends, they either renew the deal or what? Either the snake moves on to someone else, or our boy's actual lifespan gets cut short. Staring at him, our boy begs for help, and the shady guy just chuckles. He offers to save him, but of course it is going to cost 100,000. Classic Taoist hustle. First off, 100,000 is way too much cash for Fang Yuan. But more importantly, he has no clue if this shady Taoist is even telling the truth. The guy tells him to think it over. Pointing at his business card, he warns Fang Yuan not to take too long. With that, the creepy Taoist walks away, leaving Fang Yuan standing alone outside the convenience store. The night wind creeps right down his collar, giving him the chills. Back home that night, Fang Yuan spends ages staring at his reflection in the mirror.
There is absolutely nothing on the left side of his neck. But then, a memory hits him. Sometimes in the dead of night, Liu Ruyan would roll over and bury his face right in that exact spot.
Fang Yuan always thought his husband was just being cute, but looking back at that posture now,
it feels exactly like a snake resting its head against its prey. Shivering, he turns off the lights. He climbs into bed. Liu Ruyan is already fast asleep, breathing softly and peacefully. Staring at his partner's silhouette in the dark, Fang Yuan feels a heavy weight pressing on his chest. 3 whole years together. If this was all just a lie, why would Liu Ruyan put in so much effort? The warm honey water, the hangover soup, the porch light left on every single night. Doing that every single day for 3 years is a massive investment. Honestly, it is low-key heartbreaking because that level of care feels way too genuine to be a lie. He rolls over, closes his eyes, but sleep is completely out of the question. In the end, Fang Yuan does not call that Taoist priest Gei-Qing Yuan. He simply does not trust the guy. Or maybe he just does not want to believe him. Still, he starts looking into things, searching up anything about snake demons online. Most of it is just fake folklore, so he looks up the Maoshan Zhengyi sect instead. The sect actually exists, but it is a total mixed bag. Tons of scammers use that name, so he decides to try a different lead. Old Zhao. Aunt Zhang mentioned this folklore researcher before. He's the one who originally introduced Liu Ruyan. It takes Fang Yuan 3 whole days of digging through Aunt Zhang and pulling favors from a retired colleague's group chat to finally get Old Zhou's address in rural Shuzhong. Interestingly, that is the exact same hometown as Liu Ruyan. No way that is a coincidence. Fang Yuan takes 3 days off work and tells Liu Ruyan it is a business trip. His husband does not suspect a thing. He even packs Fang Yuan's suitcase, stuffing in some medicine and 2 jars of honey. Just as Fang Yuan is walking out the door, Liu Ruyan suddenly calls out, "Husband." Turning around, he sees Liu Ruyan standing barefoot in the hallway, wearing his oversized white t-shirt with wet hair. He softly asks Fang Yuan to come back early, and Fang Yuan just mutters a quick reply. Stepping into the elevator with his suitcase, he looks down at those jars of honey. There is a little handwritten label on them that says, "Husband's exclusive, nobody else touch." The handwriting is totally crooked, looking just like an elementary schooler wrote it. Feng Yuan sighs. After landing in Shuchang, it is a long 2-hour taxi ride. He finally arrives at a tiny village by the mountains. Old Zhao lives in an old rustic house there. The courtyard is packed with various herbs. Old Zhao is a man in his 60s. Wearing reading glasses and airing out old books in the sun, he does not even look surprised to see a visitor. He asks if he is Fang Yuan, and when Fang Yuan asks how he knows, the old man says he just guessed. Putting his book down, Old Zhao says it was bound to happen sooner or later, and invites him to sit. Fang Yuan sits on a stone bench that is freezing cold, but he gets straight to the point. He asks what Liu Ruyan's actual background is. Old Zhou goes dead silent for a long time. Finally, the old man gets up, goes inside, and brings out an old metal box. Inside is a stack of yellowed ancient notes. Old Zhao hands them over and tells him to read this first. Our guy flips it open. It is Old Zhao's notebook. It details his youth doing field research around Qingcheng Mountain. One page stops him. Autumn 1987. Ruined temple. A sighting of a red-scaled snake nearly 30 feet long. Glowing like fire. Fearless. Taoist Wang called it a snake spirit that failed to become a dragon. 400 years of training. By 1992, the temple was destroyed and she was gone. Locals rumored she became human. They saw a woman in red on a cliff before she vanished. Wait, 400 years? Old Zhao nods. She is no ordinary spirit. Folk stories say a century makes a demon. 1,000 makes an immortal. Taking human shape is easy, but ascending is still far off. Why marry you? Old Zhao cuts him off, his gaze turning incredibly complicated. Because she was hurt. Silence. 20 years ago. In 2004, road blasting destroyed her mountain cave. Zhou's voice drops. Half her 400-year cultivation was wiped out. Form unstable, she needed human yang energy to heal.
But not just anyone's. It had to come from someone who genuinely loved her. Forced energy is poison. This twist is low-key heartbreaking, honestly. So she never harmed him. No stolen energy?
Just living alongside your everyday human warmth kept her stable.
Draining you is murder, but being near you was enough. Then all her care, the honey water, the warm soup, was real? Old Joe nods. She was compensating you. Or rather, she fell for you. Snakes are built different when they love. It is life or death. Our guy stares at his hands, a heavy lump in his throat. Suffocating silence. Finally, he asks, who is Jie Yuan? Old Zhao's face pales. Did you meet him? The old man stands up, panicked. Never let him find your home or get near your wife.
He is no priest. He is a ruthless demon hunter.
Hunting ancient spirits for their cores. A 400-year core is worth 20 million. His mind goes blank. 3 days later, he returns home. The light is on and Liu Ruyan peeks out from the kitchen. Floured apron, fresh dumplings. She smiles warmly, a tiny smudge of flour on her cheek. He just stares. She survived in the wild for 400 years? Watching history unfold. So this snake spirit lived for ages until some crazy blast literally shattered him to pieces. With half his cultivation totally wrecked, he had to flee down the mountain and blend in. He needed a human to bunk with, and of all people, he chose our boy. This guy is literally the most average office worker ever, but he's got a heart of gold. He once gave his coat to a stray cat, which is probably why the snake chose him. Suddenly, Liu Ruyan's voice snaps our boy right back to reality, telling him to get inside. He takes off his shoes and walks over to the kitchen, stepping right up to him. Our boy reaches out to gently wipe a smudge of flour off the snake's face. The snake flinches slightly, then tilts his head with these incredibly bright, innocent eyes. When asked why he's acting so weird since his trip, our boy drops a totally sincere, "I missed you." That instantly makes the snake's ears turn red. Later that night, while eating dumplings, our boy is quietly losing his mind, trying to figure out who is actually telling the truth. Is it old Joe who claims the snake is just absorbing human presence to stabilize?
Or is it the exorcist, Jie Yuan, who claims our boy's life force is being drained?
If old Zhao is right, then this sketchy exorcist has a massive hidden agenda. He's not trying to save anyone, he's just hunting the snake's $20 million inner core. Biting his chopsticks, our boy just watches Liu Ruyan peacefully eating across the table. The snake is still only eating the chive and egg ones, chewing super slowly. It's honestly kind of wholesome how much he savors every single bite. Our boy asks if it's good. The snake nods happily, saying homemade dumplings just hit completely different. Our boy smiles back, but internally he's just made a major, heavy decision. He decides not to let the snake know that he's figured out his true identity. And he's definitely keeping the hunter a secret, choosing to protect his snake roommate himself. After washing the dishes, he finds Liu Ruyan lazily curled up on the couch watching TV. His head is on a pillow and his legs are all coiled up. Honestly, he looks exactly like, well, a coiled snake. It's too cute. Our boy sits down right next to him. The snake naturally leans over and rests his head right on our boy's shoulder. Looking down, our boy sees him completely glued to the screen, totally relaxed. With a tiny, happy smile on his face, our boy softly calls out his name. He tells him never to open the door for strangers. The snake tilts his head, confused. He lies, claiming fake maintenance guys are breaking in, and the snake just nods obediently. He promises to be careful, then immediately snuggles back down to watch his show. Staring at the ceiling, our boy starts plotting. Step 1 is completely cutting off information. The fact that Jie Yuan targeted him means the exorcist has narrowed down the search area. But he hasn't confirmed the exact target yet, which is why he's playing mind games. He's just waiting for our boy to reach out so he can track him straight to the snake. Well, no shot he's doing that, but just playing defense isn't going to cut it here. He needs to dig up the exorcist's background. If the guy is just some cheap fraud, he'll be easy to handle. But if he's the real deal, our boy is going to need some serious backup. The next day, our boy sneaks out of work early with a quick excuse. Instead of heading home, he takes a detour to a very sketchy old street in Changnan. The place is packed with antique shops, and he remembers an old client named Sun. The guy's street name is Master Sun, but don't let that fool you. He's no actual mystic. He's just an underworld dealer selling fake spiritual props, but his connections are insane.
This guy knows every shady character in town. Our boy pulls out his phone and calls him. Our main character hits up a contact to dig up dirt on this guy, Chin Yuan. Word on the street is he is a 37th generation Maoshan priest. Is that for real?
The phone goes dead silent for a second before Master Sun's voice completely drops. Did you mess with him? No, just bumped into him. Master Sun gets dead serious, warning him to stay as far away as possible. Turns out, this guy is definitely not a fraud. He has got some serious, terrifying skills. But he is no holy priest. He is a straight-up demon hunter.
Good, you know the drill. Master Sun drops his voice even lower.
This guy is absolutely ruthless. 3 years ago, he did something unforgivable.
Down in Yunnan, he slaughtered a 300-year-old white fox spirit, ripped out her core, and sold it for $18 million. And get this, that fox had already taken human form, got married, and even had a baby. But he still slaughtered her. Our main character grips his phone, knuckles turning white, and asks about the baby. Dead. He ripped her open for the core. Her body collapsed, and the baby died right along with her. He stands on the busy street corner as the roaring traffic noise floods his ears. But he can't hear a single thing over the violent pounding of his own heart. Brother Dong, one more thing. If I need to protect myself from a monster like him, who do I call? Master Sun goes quiet for a long beat before finally offering a phone number. There is an old guy named Zhuang who used to be big in the underground occult circle, but he is retired now.
He is not some high-tier master, but the guy knows absolutely everyone. To defend yourself, you need to know his specific style. Our guy says thanks, but Master Sun cuts him off. Master Sun sighs, telling him to just pretend this phone call never happened. That hunter, Chin Yuan, holds massive grudges, and nobody wants to be on his bad side. Hanging up, he saves the number and heads back home. On the way, he passes a flower shop and decides to buy a beautiful bouquet of lilies. When he gets back, his wife, Liu Ruyan, is busy mopping the living room floor.
She freezes when she sees the flowers, asking what the special occasion is. He just smiles. No special occasion.
Just saw them on the way. She takes the bouquet and buries her face in the sweet-smelling petals. Looking up with a massive smile she can't even hide, she asks him what has gotten into him lately.
Like, you go on one business trip and come back a completely different person. Did I change for the better or worse?
You've gotten way too sappy, she complains, though she is obviously loving every second of it. She gently places the lilies into their finest glass vase. She sets it right in the center of the living room, and he watches her from behind. At this point, his anxiety completely fades, because no matter what supernatural creature his wife actually is, she is his beloved wife. If anyone tries to hurt her, they will have to go through him first. So he reaches out to Old Man Zhang. The old man's voice over the line is incredibly raspy and agonizingly slow. After hearing the whole story, he only asks one crucial thing. Has that snake spirit ever harmed you? Never. Are you absolutely sure? It has been 3 years, and even his chronic stomach issues have completely cleared up. If she were draining his life force, there was no way he would be feeling this healthy. Old Man Zhuang grunts in agreement. Snakes are simple. Either they ignore you entirely, or they commit to you for a lifetime. You got insanely lucky to find one so loyal. Our guy asks about Chin Yuan's specific tactics, but his real danger isn't even magical. It is in his gear. Old Man Zhuang reveals the hunter carries a specialized iron chain everywhere. It is coated in black dog blood and sulfur, specifically designed to counter snake spirits. Once chained, even the most powerful snake spirit won't be able to transform into human shape. And without that human form, he easily rips out their core. So what should our guy do? Absolutely nothing. Old Man Zhang cuts him off with a simple warning. Do not let that guy step inside his house. See, a snake spirit is strongest in her own nest, and his home is exactly that. As long as she stays inside, that villain Chin Yuan cannot touch her. But if she steps out alone, she is done for. The old man did not finish, but honestly, he did not need to. Our main character gets the memo. He hangs up and immediately goes into full protective husband mode. First, he upgrades the front door with the most expensive high-tech smart lock on the market. It requires both a passcode and a fingerprint scanner. Next, he calls up the neighborhood security team.
He warns them about a suspicious stalker lurking around and demands they step up their patrols immediately.
Finally, he becomes Liu Ruyan's personal shadow, driving her everywhere and even tag-teaming her grocery trips. He even tags along for her nail appointments, patiently waiting right outside the salon door. At first, she finds it cute, teasing him about why her husband has suddenly gotten so incredibly clingy. But by day 5, she starts smelling a rat. Right after her shower, she looks at him and asks if he is hiding something.
Sitting on the edge of the bed and drying her hair, she drops that question out of nowhere.
Scrolling on his phone, our boy freezes for a second, but plays it cool.
She points out his bizarre behavior, from driving her everywhere to suddenly changing the locks out of the blue.
And literally refusing to let her go out alone, she sets her towel down. She turns to look at him, and there is a sudden shift in her gaze. Not suspicion, just a heavy, quiet tension. Like a wild animal catching the scent of a predator, she asks if someone has contacted him. His heart instantly drops. Bro, she pinpointed the exact situation. She did not ask if he was cheating or if he was bored of her. She asked if someone found him. She knows, she has always known that someone is actively hunting her down. He puts his phone down and sits up straight, staring right back at her. She holds his gaze in absolute silence for about 10 seconds. Finally, she breaks eye contact and tries to laugh it off. She claims she is just overthinking things and tries to stand up. But he grabs her wrist, and it is cold, ice cold, just like always. He calls out her name, telling her that no matter what happens, she is not alone.
He tells her not to carry this burden by herself as she looks down at his hand holding hers.
Her eyelashes flutter softly, and after a brief silence, she gives a quiet, gentle nod.
That night, she curls up in his chest, clinging tighter than ever before.
They hold each other close as they drift off. Around 3 a.m., he wakes up in a daze.
He feels something cool and soft resting gently against the left side of his neck.
Cold to the touch, but not her lips.
It is her forehead. She presses against his neck as if searching for safety.
Or maybe she is just seeking comfort. He stays completely still, with his eyes closed.
He gently pulls her a bit closer, and her body tenses up for a split second.
But then she relaxes completely, her breathing slowly turning soft and even once again.
Staring into the dark, he realizes she has survived alone for 400 years.
This poor girl probably has not felt safe in centuries. But on day 15, the storm finally hits. He is in a business meeting that afternoon with his phone set entirely on silent. When the meeting ends, he checks his screen to find 7 missed calls, all from neighborhood security. His stomach drops. He dials back immediately, and the guard picks up, calling out his name. The guard says a strange man came looking for him around 2 p.m., claiming to be a friend. They did not let him inside the gates, but that creepy guy just stood at the entrance for an hour. What kind of guy is he? Tall, thin, and wearing gray clothes.
His eyes are apparently terrifying. Qingyan hangs up and immediately rushes home.
He calls Liu Ruyan 3 times. No answer on the first try. Second try, nothing. On the third, she finally answers, sounding way too calm.
Are you home? Yeah, she says. I just took a shower.
I did not hear my phone ring. Is everything okay? He tells her he is coming home right now, so she reheats dinner. He lets out a breath, but that gut feeling does not go away. The stalker is here and knows his address. He reaches the building entrance. Scanning the area carefully, he sees no sign of that gray suit. Did the guy leave, or is he hiding? He rushes inside. Taking the elevator up, he unlocks the door. The entryway light is on. He hears cooking sounds. She greets him, saying he is home early. Liu Ruyan peeks out of the kitchen, her face flushed from the steam. Everything looks completely normal as he changes his shoes and looks around. The living room windows are shut, but on the balcony door handle, something is hanging there, a yellow paper folded into a triangle.
It is wedged in the handle. He pulls it out and unfolds it.
There is a weird talisman drawn on it saying, "Do not raise tigers." It warns of deadly danger within 3 days. His hand starts shaking. But he is not shaking from fear. It is pure rage. The stalker actually broke into his home. The guy somehow climbed all the way to the 17th floor.
How did he even get up there? His wife asks what is wrong.
Liu Ruyan comes out with the food and sees him standing there. Seeing his pale face, he quickly hides the note and says nothing.
Just some flyer blowing in, he lies. She believes him entirely.
She made his favorite sweet and sour ribs. He sits to eat. But his mind is completely elsewhere. The 3-day deadline. What does that mean? Is the enemy attacking in 3 days? Or will he unleash hell once his warning officially expires?
Either way, they only have 3 days left.
After dinner, he locks himself in the study and calls Zhuang. He explains everything, and the old man just sighs deeply.
Scaling 17 floors without making a sound is absolutely insane.
This stalker is built different, so what should they do now? Zhuang gives him 2 choices. First, grab his wife and run.
Escape to another city with new names. What is the second?
Let his wife find out the truth. Hearing that, he freezes.
That guardian has 400 years of cultivation under his belt. Old man Zhuang says he has been laying low for reasons.
He probably did not want to expose himself or drag him down. But if it comes to a final showdown, can he win? Zhuang honestly admits that his spiritual form is still completely unstable. With his powers damaged, a direct head-on clash is incredibly risky. But in his own territory, he holds all the cards. So like I said, just don't let her go outside.
She needs to be warned so she can prepare.
Our MC hangs up and just sits there in his study. He has to tell her. This means their 3 peaceful years together are officially over. No matter if she panics or runs, once the secret is out, there is no going back. Taking a deep breath, he steps out of the study. In the living room, Liu Ruyan is curled up on the couch watching dramas.
Hearing him walk out, she doesn't even look up.
She asks what he was doing in there as he sits beside her. He turns off the TV, leaving her completely confused. Grabbing her hand, he feels that familiar icy coldness. When he says they need to talk, her smile completely fades. Looking deep into her eyes, he prepares for the leap. Her pupils have a faint, eerie red glow beneath the dark brown. It is something he never noticed before. He quietly says, "I know you are not human." The words are soft as a feather, yet they drop like a bomb. Instantly, the room goes dead silent as she tries to pull her hand away.
It is like she got burned, but he holds on tight.
Gripping her hand tighter, he delivers the final blow. "I know you are a snake." He knows she stayed to heal and that someone is hunting her.
Her face goes through a roller coaster of emotions.
First pale, then pure terror. But then comes the twist. Her eyes well up with tears. Not slowly, but all at once.
She bursts into tears, asking when he found out.
Her voice shakes as he replies, on their 3rd anniversary night. He found a scale under the bed, making her lower her head in shame. With trembling shoulders, she desperately begs for forgiveness. She never expected it to take this long, thinking 1 year was enough. Her plan was to leave to protect him, but her voice completely fades.
Turns out she just could not bring herself to leave him.
Tears fall onto her knees as he watches her break down. Honestly, guys, this is low-key heartbreaking. Her 3-year secret has finally shattered. He reaches out and pulls her close. She freezes for a moment, then completely melts into his chest. Crying silently, she breaks down completely in his arms. He gently strokes her hair, whispering that he is not letting her go. The only reason he brought this up is because an enemy is coming. He wants to protect her, but they must face this together. Looking up, the red glow in her eyes burns brighter. Not scary at all, but like a stubborn, flickering flame. She asks if the hunter is here, and he reveals they have 3 days. Biting her lip, she slowly sits up. Wiping her tears, she takes a breath. 3 days is plenty. Ruyan looks at Fang Yuan, instantly hiding the vulnerability in his eyes. Replacing it is a terrifying sharpness Fang Yuan has never seen before. He thanks Lang Feng Yuan for these past 3 years. No matter the outcome, these 3 years were real. Every single day was real, even the honey water. The hangover soup was real, and he purposely left lights on. Loving you is real too. His tearful smile is low-key heartbreaking.
Fang Yuan reaches out and wipes the last tear off his face.
Fang Yuan knows, so he must protect him these next 2 days.
Ruyan changes slightly, but Fang Yuan can definitely feel the shift. He begins making serious defensive preparations around the house.
He covers every window with what looks like ordinary sun protection film.
But his method is bizarre, gently tracing his fingers over the surface. He traces invisible patterns, placing fresh water in every corner. Fang Yuan asks about it, but Ruyan says it gathers energy. At this point, he does not hide anything, speaking completely calmly. He acts like it is a simple humidifier. Until the next evening. He tells Fang Yuan to buy 20 pounds of coarse salt for the door. Fang Yuan immediately does it, carrying 20 pounds of salt back. He packs salt into the door cracks while Ruyan quietly watches.
Ruyan suddenly laughs, saying he looks like a priest helping his wife.
Fang Yuan jokes about a yellow robe, and Ruyan says he looks good.
Fang Yuan playfully calls him a flirting snake, not a fox spirit. Ruyan says he learned from the best. Until the third morning arrives.
Now Ruyan is totally different, no longer lazily sleeping in.
He normally sleeps past 9, but today he is up at 6.
He just sits on the bed, staring quietly out the window.
Seeing his back makes Fang Yuan's heart clench with worry. Asking why he is up so early, Ruyan slowly turns around.
He softly smiles, telling Fang Yuan to sleep while Fang Yuan sits up.
Ruyan quietly warns him not to interfere if the hunter arrives.
He knows Fang Yuan wants to protect him, but this opponent is a demon hunter.
The hunter possesses specialized gear designed to restrain and destroy spirits. Since Fang Yuan is just a human, he must stay inside safely. No matter what chaos unfolds outside, he just has to wait there. Frowning, Fang Yuan asks if Ruyan is really planning to face him outside. Ruyan warns that if the hunter gets inside, nothing can stop him. He must fight outside, even though Old Man Zhuang said home field is better. Ruyan explains that only applies to a head-on clash, stepping closer. He looks down, explaining that if the hunter plays dirty outside, like starting a fire or using smoke, Ruyan would be a sitting duck.
Snakes absolutely hate smoke, but Ryan says this with complete calm.
He acts totally detached, but Fang Yuan can hear the underlying dread. He's terrified, yet desperately tries to hide his fear from Fang Yuan. Before Fang Yuan can argue, Ruyan kneels down, telling him to wait. Our MC tells him to look him in the eyes, proving his 400 years of cultivation wasn't for nothing.
He says even if the hunter has artifacts, he's not the same weak white tiger from 300 years ago.
But Liu Ruyan just pinches his cheek, telling him to be good and promising to cook him noodles later.
The MC wants to say something, but all the words get stuck right in his throat. In the end, he only managed to beg him to return safely, making Liu Ruyan give him a warm, gentle smile.
It's the exact same smile from their first meeting 3 years ago, and then it's 9 a.m.
Liu Ruyan finally changes out of his casual homeware into a completely different outfit.
He steps out wearing a dress of the deepest, darkest red.
It's a dark crimson that looks like dried blood, a color the MC has never seen him wear. As he stands by the door changing his shoes, our MC suddenly gets a very strange, chilling feeling about this whole setup.
This isn't the soft, gentle partner he knows. This looks like a deadly snake preparing to be hunted down.
Giving one last look, he tells the MC to lock the door and keep it closed before heading out. The door clicks shut, and the entire apartment instantly becomes as silent as an empty grave.
Our protagonist is left standing in the living room, completely powerless to do anything.
All he can do is wait, kicking off the most agonizing hours of his entire life. At 10, there's absolutely no sound, and by 11, it is still completely dead silent. Noon comes, and the phone remains dead silent, even after the MC desperately tries calling him twice with no answer. By 1 p.m., he's standing on the balcony, anxiously staring down at the streets below.
But there's nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual cars driving in and out.
Neighbors are walking dogs, and kids are riding bikes. Everything looks so peaceful, as if absolutely nothing is wrong. Then, at 2:17 p.m., the door lock finally clicks. The tension here is absolutely unreal. The fingerprint scanner beeps, the door swings open, and there stands Liu Ruyan.
Amazingly, his red dress has no bloodstains or rips on it.
His hair is slightly messy, with a thin layer of sweat on his forehead. But his right hand tells a different story. 2 of his fingernails are jaggedly broken.
It doesn't look like a normal break, but more like they were brutally crushed and snapped off.
Spotting the MC waiting in the entryway, he just smiles and asks where the noodles are. The MC rushes forward in a heartbeat, pulling him inside with a tight grip.
He slams the door shut, locks it, and wraps him in the tightest hug ever.
He tenses up for a second before softening into the warm embrace.
Resting his hands on the MC's back, he whispers that he handled it.
Honestly, that is so wild. He muffled his voice and admitted the hunter only escaped because his spiritual chains were bitten clean off.
Without that chain, he's basically just a regular human, he notes after a pause.
Although he did run away pretty fast. When asked if he'll return, Liu Ruyan says absolutely not.
Pulling back from the hug, his gaze looks way more relaxed and peaceful now. He explains that he left a snake forest tracking mark directly on the hunter. From now on, any snake demon within 100 miles will be able to sense him instantly.
If he stays, he's a sitting duck, basically getting a taste of his own medicine.
Giving a satisfied smirk, he agrees that is exactly what it is.
The hunter will have to live in hiding now, but the MC's focus shifts to those broken nails.
When asked if it hurts, he flinches slightly, admitting it does, before the MC pulls his hand closer. Looking closely, he sees 2 of the nails are completely snapped right down the middle. The flesh underneath is slightly red, but it doesn't even look like real human skin. A faint crimson color gleams under the nail. No shot, those look like real snake scales.
Fang Yun doesn't say a word, just leads her gently into the bathroom.
He carefully treats her wounds while she sits quietly on the toilet lid, letting him work. Her eyes never leave his. Fang Yun, she asks, aren't you afraid of me? Afraid of what? He says. I am not human, she whispers, but he calmly ties her bandage knot. Looking up, he tells her she is his wife. Instantly, her eyes tear up again. She doesn't cry this time, though. She just blinks hard to hold back the tears. After sniffling, she softly asks if he will still let her brew honey water for him in the future. Who else would I let? He laughs. But what if my tail accidentally pops out? She asks. Then it's a winter heater, he says, and she finally bursts into a soft laugh. Tears and smiles mix on her face. Calling her silly, he gently wipes them away. He offers to make her noodles, but she protests, so he tells his injured wife to stay seated. Obeying with a soft hum, she quietly follows him all the way to the kitchen door. Leaning against the frame, she watches him cook as warm afternoon sunlight pours through the window. The light bathes her, making her bright red dress glow with a soft warmth. Resting her cheek against the doorframe, she half closes her eyes in pure comfort. She looks like a cat soaking up the sun, or rather, a snake that finally does not have to hide. After that, their days get even better. Honestly, the author absolutely cooked with this wholesome dynamic. Once a secret is finally out in the open, it completely loses all of its terrifying weight. No longer needing to hide her true form, Liu Ruyan slowly starts showing her real self to him. She begins showing her real habits, like the fact that she doesn't really eat cooked food. Before, she always forced herself to eat cooked meals with him, but now she happily admits she only needs raw eggs. 2 a day is plenty, she says. Fang Yun just stares in silence. Raw eggs? He nods and promises to buy her high-quality organic ones. She cracks up laughing. He also learns that every single month, she has a few days of shedding. Just like a typical snake, her old scales peel away so new ones can grow in. During those shedding days, she gets super itchy all over, runs a mild fever, and stays sleepy. She used to lock herself away to endure it, but now she comfortably asks him to scratch her back. Since she can't reach, he sits on the bed scratching her back, and his fingers occasionally brush against loose scales. The edges are paper thin, feeling a bit like the smooth texture of a soft-shell turtle. As she sighs happily with her face buried in the pillow, a tiny section of her tail slips out from her lower back. It is only about 10 centimeters long, a slender crimson-red tail with a slightly curled tip. It looks just like a lazy little red snake, and Fang Yun honestly can't look away. Is it pretty? She asks, tilting her head while her face remains buried in the pillow.
Her voice is completely muffled. It is actually really pretty, he replies, but she laughs, calling his taste weird. Then I'll stop scratching, he teases. No, keep going, she begs. Go a bit higher on the right.
Right there, yes, he just chuckles and obliges.
Another time, he gets up in the middle of the night and glances into the dark living room. There is Liu Ruyan, literally coiled up on the sofa. And yes, actually coiled. Her lower body is completely transformed into a massive, thick crimson snake tail.
Coiled in 3 thick rings, it looks wider than his thighs, though her upper body is still human.
Her eyes have sharp vertical slits, and delicate scale patterns cover both of her cheeks. She is scrolling through videos with the volume turned all the way up.
Laughing at a silly cat video, she happily thumps the tip of her tail against the couch.
Her tail tip drums against the cushion like a playful rattle, showing how much she enjoys it.
Fang Yun watches this from the hallway shadow for 5 seconds, then quietly slips back to bed. Pretending she saw nothing, the next morning, Shu Tong turns back into his human form.
He is sitting at the table sipping porridge, acting completely chill as he bids her good morning.
Nini casually plays along, saying good morning back before dropping a little truth bomb.
You dented the sofa cushion with your tail, she says, making his face instantly turn beet red as he gasps, Nini, you saw that?
Yup, she says, as he buries his face in his bowl.
Then he looks up with a porridge-covered face, whining, Why did not you wake me?
You look happy, she jokes. I did not want to ruin your vibe.
But you still should not have peeked, he grumbles, mortified as he grabs a tissue to frantically wipe his face. His ears are completely red, so she hands him a dry tissue, asking, what is so embarrassing about it?
You are not an outsider, she says, earning a glare from him.
Honestly, when Shu Tong gets flustered, he cannot even control his slit snake pupils anymore.
Realizing what is happening 2 seconds later, he quickly blinks to shift them back to normal.
Were you not scared? He asks in a tiny, nervous whisper. Not at all. It was actually super cool, she says as he stares at her for a long moment. He mumbles that she is a little pervert, but the corners of his mouth are totally curving up. And just like that, their days flow by, simple, peaceful, and incredibly real. Warm and cozy, Shu Tong is no longer trying to act like that flawless, unreachable, perfect husband. Now he gets lazy, spawning his tail just to grab the remote and save himself from stretching. He gets late-night cravings, sneaking to eat her hidden spicy snacks at midnight. The next morning, his mouth is peeling from allergies, and he starts whining for cuddles. When it gets cold, he loves pressing his freezing hands and feet against her, giggling whenever she flinches away. But he has his limits too, like the time Nini works late until 11 p.m. without giving him a heads up. When she opens the door, Shu Tong is standing in the dark, eyes bloodshot with a dangerously heavy aura. She asks what is wrong, and he shakes. You did not reply for 3 hours. I thought something happened. His voice sounds flat and calm, but Nini notices his fingertips are shaking and tapping uncontrollably. His nails are turning slightly reddish, a warning sign that he is about to lose control and transform. At that moment, she realizes he is terrified, absolutely terrified. He is scared she would run away like before or get hunted down by ruthless men like Che Qing-yun. Terrified she might just vanish, Nini walks over and wraps him in a tight hug, whispering her apology. Promising there will not be a next time, Shu Tong buries his head in her shoulder and pinches her waist hard. She winces in pain but does not pull away, and he softly snorts. Serves you right.
By the spring of their 4th year of marriage, Nini finally makes a major decision. Looking at him watering flowers on the balcony, she says, I want to take you back to Mount Qingcheng.
Seriously, the potted ivy he is raising on that balcony is growing insanely, preposterously well. But the moment he hears her words, his hand slips and the watering can spills directly onto the floor.
Why go back? He asks, and she answers, to see where you used to live.
Setting the can down, his expression grows deeply complex as he sighs. There is absolutely nothing left there.
It was blown up for the roads, he warns, but she whispers, I know, and I still want to go.
When he asks why, Nini slowly pulls a small red velvet box from her pocket and pops it open. Inside is a gorgeous custom ring, completely unlike the rushed wedding band they bought years ago. Forget those basic generic diamond rings. She actually had this one custom designed just for him. Engraved on a silver band is a tiny wrapping snake set beautifully with a vibrant red tourmaline stone.
The crimson tourmaline gemstone matches the deep, beautiful red of his scales perfectly. He is completely speechless as she reminds him that their wedding 3 years ago was way too rushed. The old ring was generic, she smiles softly, so this is to make up for it. Basically, Fang Yuan wants to properly propose right at her old home, even if only the foundation remains. She stares at the ring for the longest time before finally looking up. Her eyes are already red? Like, why does this snake lady cry so easily? This is so soft.
She asks if he really knows what he is doing, marrying a snake a second time.
He tells her the first time was just paperwork, but this is their real ceremony. She calls him crazy, and honestly, maybe he is, as she just stands there. Sunlight pours over her, catching the tears and the smile on her face. She complains that he did not even give a speech before pulling out the ring. He teases her about wanting a fancy ceremony, asking if she even wants to hear it. But she just snatches the box and slides the ring on her own finger. She jokes that she does not need the kneeling proposal, saying he would probably mess it up anyway. Looking down, she gently rubs her thumb over the little snake engraved on the ring. Pursing her lips, she asks where they are going, and he suggests Mount Qingcheng. She heads inside without looking back, warning him that he is not allowed to back out. Watching her go, the red tourmaline on the ring flashes brightly under the sun. It looks like a tiny flicker of flame. 3 days later, they make the trip. They stand on a barren slope behind Mount Qingcheng, where the old temple used to be. A new road cut through the area, leaving only piles of gravel below as Liu Ruyan
Stands at the top of the slope, the mountain breeze whipping her dress around.
Looking down at the highway, she quietly whispers that everything has changed. Low-key heartbreaking, honestly. She points out that this barren spot used to be covered in trees, including a 200-year-old nanmu. She points at the ground, remembering how she used to curl up there to bask in the sun. But now it is just concrete. When he asks what happened, she says the tree was chopped down. And then they blasted the mountain! Her tone is so incredibly calm, it actually hurts. She talks like it is someone else's story, recalling how a sudden explosion woke her from her cave. The entire mountain was collapsing, and she woke up covered in blood. Half her cultivation was shattered, and when she finally crawled out, there was only dust. Her 400-year-old home was completely gone. Fang Yuan stands beside her in silence, just letting her process. He reaches out to squeeze her hand, and she grips it back, saying it is okay now. She turns to look at him, her hair blowing gently across his face in the wind. She says home can be anywhere now, as long as they are together. Man, the feels. He looks down at her beautiful, upturned face. Her eyes are shining so brightly that he suddenly drops to one knee, completely shocking her. He tells her she was wrong. He can kneel perfectly steady. See, no cheating here. Her lips begin to tremble. She bursts out laughing, but then she starts crying again, telling him to get up. But he insists she promise him first, and she asks what she is agreeing to. They have been married for 3 years, but he wants to marry her all over again. She just stands there as the mountain wind howls around them. Her dress billows like a flag, and the wind instantly sweeps her tears away. She nods her head as hard as she possibly can. It is like she is terrified he won't see her answer, sobbing out a yes. He stands back up, casually brushing the dirt off his knees. Then he pulls her close, letting her bury her face in his chest.
Her shoulders shake as she weeps, remembering the 400 years she spent entirely alone. Truly hits different.
Now he doesn't need to do that anymore, not since the day they returned from Mount Qingcheng. On the flight back, Liu Ruyan falls asleep, resting her head right on his shoulder. She's breathing softly, and he just looks down, admiring her peaceful, sleeping face.
It makes him think back to their 3rd anniversary, when her ring rolled under the bed. If he hadn't fished out that box, or touched that strange glowing spirit scale under the bed that night,
he probably would have never found out her secret, and she would have kept hiding it. Just hiding her true identity year after year while acting like the most perfect wife. She would have kept cooking for him and leaving warm honey water out every single night. At least until her wounds fully healed, and then she would have just quietly vanished. Leaving behind a simple goodbye note, she would have left him to spend his entire life wondering where she went.
Honestly, thank goodness his curiosity got the better of him, because ain't no way he was running away.
He definitely made the right choice. Just as he's thinking this, the plane finally lands. Liu Ruyan wakes up, rubs her eyes sleepily, and looks at him in a daze, asking if they have finally arrived.
Yes, time to go home, she says, gently taking his hand.
She leads him through the crowded airport, her palm feeling incredibly cold. Her fingers feel just like a delicate little snake wrapping around his, so he squeezes tighter. By the time they get back, it's already 10 in the evening, and she immediately drops her suitcase in the living room. She collapses onto the couch, complaining she is exhausted, so he asks if she wants some food. Mumbling a quick no, she rolls over to face the back of the couch instead. Instead, she asks him to make her some warm honey water, a total role reversal. She laughs, her voice muffled in the cushions, while he heads straight to the kitchen to heat up some water and mix the honey. But when he brings the warm drink out, she has already fallen fast asleep again, curled up on the couch. She is in her human form, just curled up tight, but right at the base of her spine. Her adorable little snake tails have popped right out, with the tips dangling over the couch edge. They are twitching slightly, as if she is having a wonderful dream, while he gently sets the cup down. He leans down to kiss her forehead and whispers goodnight, making her softly mumble in response. Her tail tip gently wraps around his wrist before letting go, leaving him smiling as he watches her sleep. He goes to prep the bed, then comes back to gently scoop her up in his arms. She curls up against his chest, feeling as light as a little cat. As he lays her down, she sleepily opens her eyes and looks up at him. She sleepily asks if he will marry her next life, and he jokes if she even has one. Apparently, 1,000 years of cultivation guarantees it, leaving them with 600 years left. Telling him to wait for her, she immediately drifts back to sleep. Within seconds, she is out cold. He lies down beside her, staring at the ceiling, thinking about those 600 years. Waiting for her is one thing, but a normal guy like him can never survive 6 centuries, though he decides to worry about that later. It is a long road, but with her by his side, he is not afraid. He pulls her close. Her body feels cool and incredibly soft, snuggling tightly against him as she settles in. She presses her forehead against his, almost like she is habitually making sure he is still right there. He closes his eyes, thinking about how 3 years of marriage led him to discover his wife's secret snake scale. That is when he realized the absolute luckiest thing to ever happen to him. It is not just that he got a perfect wife, but that this 400-year-old snake spirit, after having her home completely destroyed, crawled into the human world covered in painful wounds. And out of countless people, she chose him, and definitely not because he was rich or incredibly handsome. It was simply because one freezing winter, he took off his jacket to shelter a poor stray cat. Talk about an absolute wild twist of fate, but he is more than happy to stay by her side forever.